Christian Atsu has been found alive but injured following the tragic 7.8 magnitude earthquake in Turkey. It has been confirmed that former, now at Super Lakeside Hatayspor, was missing after a series of devastating earthquakes which have claimed more than 4,000 lives across Turkey and Syria. Atsu was caught up in the natural disaster in Kahramanmaraş, where Hatayspor are based, along with club sporting director Taner Savut. Now, Hatayspor Vice President Mustafa Ozat has now confirmed that Atsu is out of the rubble but injured while the search for Savut continues. So what more do we know? Joy Sports journalist Fentio Tahiru joins me in the studio now with more. Fentio, you're welcome. I'll come to you shortly, but let's go on to Zoom now and speak with Turkey journalist who has been keeping an eye on this for us to really get what's happening now. Yages Sabun Çoglu is a Turkish-based journalist who's been doing a lot of work following up on what has been happening on this disaster, with specific attention to whether or not Christian Atsu is well, and he first broke the news this morning. Now, let's share with you some of the tweets that have coming now. Yages,
it's on the phone.
Okay, so Yages is with us on the phone. Let's try and connect with him. Yages, grateful that you could join us. We understand Atsu has been brought out alive and is responding to treatment. You are there. Can you give us more update on that?
Yes, first of all, hi everyone. Unfortunately, the situation is so bad in Hatay. 8 teams are working a lot, but so many buildings have been destroyed that for is insufficient sometimes. But we got best news of the day from Atsu this morning. Atsu was pulled alive from the rubble and taken to the hospital right now. But connection is so bad in the Hatay. I can't reach with phone to Hatay board member. Therefore, Hatay Spor coach, who is Volkan Demirel, arranged the private plane, and team has gone to Adana City for they will return to their home. But about Atsu, right now his condition is good, but he rescued after 26 hours later. Therefore, situation is critical, good but critical, and he emerged from the rubble. But I have bad news about Taner Savut, who is sporting director for Hatay, and also he was neighbor of Christian Atsu. They are still searching he to rescue from under the rubble, but not yet. We didn't get good news from Taner, but Atsu is okay, and also doctors will interact with him. Of course, he rescued after 26 hours later. Therefore, still his condition is good, but still his health is critical. We are waiting good news from Hatay, and also
Okay.
I hope he will be better.
Okay. Now, do we know the time Atsu was pulled out of the rubble?
26 hours later, he rescued by rescue.
26 hours later.
26 hours ago. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. 26 hours later, he rescued by rescue teams, and according to Hatay board, I spoke with them 3 hours ago. He said me that his condition is good. He's in hospital right now, but we are following to be better. Atsu, and we just have to wait. We just have to wait and pray for Atsu and more.
Now, how are the teammates reacting to the news, since we've all been worried about whether or not he'll be found alive?
Bertu Yıldırım has rescued yesterday, and also Burak Öksüz has rescued yesterday, also from under the rubble. And also his sporting director, who is Taner Savut, still under the rubble, unfortunately. And rescue teams try to reach him, but I can't say good things about him. And also, time is going on, unfortunately. Right now, we are at the 33 hours in earthquake. I hope, my friends, we will reach Taner Savunç and more. But Hatay team, as I said, went to Adana city. Adana is near to Hatay, and all teams will go back their home. Today also, Turkish Football Federation will announce the situation of Turkish football. I think, but it's not certain. I have to say this. I think we will give up and break Turkish Super League, and also because Hatay and Gaziantep football club has affected more because of earthquake.
Now, you mentioned that the team has been flown to Adana. Do we have information whether or not Atsu will be taken to another city?
Not new news about Atsu, because, as I said, we can't reach Hatay city with phone, with WhatsApp, with or anything else. Connection was lost since last night. I just use, and not just me, everyone just use and reach Hatay with SMS. Just message is working now. No WhatsApp, no telephone, nothing, my friend. Therefore, I can't get more updates for Atsu and Hatay. But I have to. I try to reach again the Hatay board member. If I get any more info about the Atsu and his condition, of course, I will inform you on our social media account.
Okay.
But now, as I said, I try to reach Hatay before this connection, but I can't reach Hatay board right now because of connection.
Okay, but so it means that your confirmation is coming from the team confirming that indeed Atsu has been found and is responding to treatment. Yes,
my friend.
Okay, all right then. Grateful to you for these updates. So that Yages Sabunçoglu, who is a Turkish-based journalist, following up on that particular deadly earthquake that happened and had our brother Christian Atsu still left under rubble after almost 26 hours. But the story, if you just join us, is that he's being pulled out of the rubble and he's responding to treatment. That what we've been told from Turkey. Then Afento is here. Tell me about the conflicting report we had earlier. I mean, yesterday was just brutal.
Yeah.
Someone would say this, the next moment is that. We couldn't wrap our head around what was happening. Why did we have that one?
You know, I think one of the most important things that you have to understand is timing. Now, the incident happened around 4 a.m. So many people were waking up to the news. And once that happens, everybody is trying frenetically to try and get something and get some information and put some information out. So what was, without a doubt, what became very clear from the very beginning was that Christian Atsu was trapped, and that he was trapped alongside the sporting director of the club, Taner Savunç. And there were others. In fact, there were 9 other teammates who had been trapped. And those others, 7 of them had been pulled out except Atsu and Taner. Now, Atsu lived on the 9th floor of the apartment building. And so when all of that rubble comes down, you can imagine how difficult it must be trying to locate 1 or 2 human beings from inside such a huge rubble. So that's what it was, around 4 in the morning. And, you know, there were people who had been in touch with Christian Atsu prior to the incident. In fact, because he had scored on Sunday, a last-minute winner, free kick, wonderful goal. And he had stayed up late, buzzing, you know, chatting with people and still celebrating and what have you. And said goodbyes around 2:30 in the morning and went to sleep, only for people to wake up and suddenly hear the news that he had been trapped. So as the day went on and the news started to filter in, everybody was desperate to get some good news. And so people started to talk to some teammates, started to talk to some management members, because clearly Atsu himself was not reachable. And then a little later in the day, I think a little past 2 p.m. thereabouts, the report started to trickle in that he had been found. Now, the first report came from a newspaper in Portugal called Abola. Now, Abola is one of the biggest newspapers in Portugal. So they reported that Christian Atsu had been found and taken to hospital.
Okay.
Now, then the English press were the first to pick up on it. So then the Daily Mirror picked up on it. A certain Colin Miller, who reports for the Mirror, he was the first to really give the story a big attraction, big traction. So then the Mirror picked up on it, and then the Guardian picked up on it, the Daily Mail picked up on it, the Athletic, Bleacher Report. All the international platforms picked up on it. Some Ghanaian journalists picked up on it as well. And it was everywhere. But the most fundamental thing, or the most interesting thing about the report, was that every single one of those reports from all these big newspapers across the UK and elsewhere was quoting just one source. And the one source was Abola. So that was what kind of gave, it was the first red flag, kind of. It's like, if something is happening, and at that whole point, Turkish journalists, including Yajis himself, was reporting that Atsu had not yet been pulled out. So, you know, then so when it happens like that, you begin to question yourself and question the sources. Like the people who are in Turkey and have access to the club, the president, the teammate, they're saying that the player has not been pulled out. And the newspaper in Portugal, even though they may have connections to the club and also even to the player himself, because remember, Atsu played in Portugal for FC Porto. His wife or ex-wife is Portuguese. They have access on that level. You still had major doubts. And so a little later, around midnight, it became clear that Atsu was still trapped, because the club president came out to speak to the media, where he said that Christian Atsu, alongside the club sporting director, Tanya Savit, were still trapped. And he called for rescuing efforts to be intensified. And the entire city of Attaya is being flattened. So it's that bad. And so even where the
entire city.
Yes, and even where the rescuing efforts were supposed to come from are not there. So in fact, they had to now look for some construction equipment from mining sites from outside of the city. So imagine how slow it is to move some of these heavy-duty cranes and equipment to come and start to pull people from the rubble. And when the people come, or when these equipment come, they're limited. And most of the city is flattened. So where do they go first? So there were all of those issues, and they started to dig up, and there was a video that emerged of the apartment building where Atsu and Tanya Savut lived, and you know, so that was when they started to dig up. Around 3:30 a.m., I didn't get any sleep. So around 3:30 a.m., obviously, there was another update from the club's vice president that they were still searching for them. Then we eventually got the news we were looking for around 6:30. You see that tweet there from... Exactly, translated below. He said Christian Atsu has been pulled from the wreckage alive. At that point, he hadn't indicated whether he was fine or he wasn't. So I replied to him and I asked him, is he okay? And then he responded by saying yes. So that was our first indication that it had happened. This was the first report coming from Turkish media that Atsu had been pulled out alive. All the other reports prior to that had not emanated from Turkey.
We're outside Turkey.
We're outside of Turkey. The primary source being a newspaper in Portugal called Abola. So once this was tweeted, obviously now we started to reach out. So I reached out to Yajis. We spoke to him on Joy FM to confirm the news he did. And then he added more details after that. And he said the extent of Atsu's injuries were not known. And it was at that point that he also indicated that Tanya Savut, the man who was trapped alongside Atsu in that building, was still there, and that rescuers were still looking for him. He doesn't say how long Atsu is out for. He did warn that perhaps we've had incidents where people have survived accidents and gone to the hospital and it hasn't worked out. So it's still important to keep Atsu in prayer, exactly, because it's not exactly in the clear. The other thing that became obvious was that the entire team of Hatayspor have been flown to Adana, city, another city in Turkey, because there's absolutely no place for them. because, like I indicated, most parts of the city has been flat and the players have no place to live. So, but that is just looking at it, and we have paid attention to the story more closely because of Christian Atsu. But when you look at the much bigger story, the humanitarian crisis that this has brought, over 4,000 lives have been lost as a result of that. You can understand why, the efforts will be scattered and all over the place. And even as we speak, people are still calling for rescuers to come in and help, because it certainly isn't a pleasant sight at all. And those visuals, people working day and night to try and see if they can find people trapped under the rubble.
Well, I'll come back to you so that we look at the impact on the larger footballing, industry in Turkey and in Europe. But let's share with you some tweets that some people have been sharing since the story broke yesterday. Obviously, Yage Sabunchoglu's own is about confirming that he's alive. But the president, since yesterday, has been tweeting about this. He says that on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I extend heartfelt condolences to the government and people of Turkey and Syria on the devastation and the tragic loss of lives occasioned by Monday's earthquake. Then he continues to say, may their souls rest in perfect peace. Our hearts and prayers go out to the survivors, and we pray that our fellow Ghanaian, Christian Atsu, is found safe and sound. So those are the tweets by the president. And now this morning, that's about an hour and some few minutes ago, Asamoah tweeted this picture with the prayer sign upon the announcement that he's been found. That's when he brought out this picture and that sign thanking God that he's been found. This is by the vice president, but some 20 hours ago. He says, my thoughts and prayers are with our brother Christian Atsu, all Ghanaians in Turkey and Syria, and the people in these countries following the earthquake. May God protect them all. So that's Dr. Mahmoud Baumia there. So this tweet, was something that we got to then confirm that, in fact, what we were hearing is true, and that Christian had been found. The Ghana Football Association tweeted that, update, we've received some positive news that Christian Atsu has been successfully rescued from the rubble of the collapsed building and is receiving treatment. Let's continue to pray for Christian with the prayer sign there. That's a tweet by the Ghana Football Association. And this tweet was by the former president, John Dramani Mahama. It was tweeted 19 hours ago, so by now we're counting into the 20 hours. Now he says, let's continue to pray for our brother Christian Atsu and his club director. The city of Hayat is in the region affected by the earthquake. Let's continue to pray that God spares their lives. So these are some of the tweets. Now, Kenyatta also tweeted when the story was broken that, in fact, he's been found alive. He says, "Ow, joy comes in the morning, ampa. We thank God for the life of Christian Atsu 20. We pray for those who are still trapped and can't be found." Coming with a photograph of a smiley Christian Atsu there. Now, so these are some of the tweets that some people have been sharing in the wake of this. Now,
there is more.
Okay, there's more.
Especially Christian Atsu's former clubs.
Okay, great.
So Chelsea and Newcastle United, exactly. So Newcastle were the first to tweet. They tweeted it yesterday, and they said praying for some positive news. And they have a picture of Christian Atsu up with the prayer hands and then the heart emojis. And then Chelsea also tweeted yesterday, and Chelsea's tweet basically just says, so that one, they also put up a picture of Christian Atsu in a Chelsea jersey, and they say, the thoughts of everyone at Chelsea Football Club are with those affected by the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. We are praying for you, Christian Atsu. So, overwhelming, especially from the football community.
Have also just
he played there on loan
on Facebook with his picture in their colors, and they say, we are relieved to hear Christian Atsu has been successfully rescued and is recovering in hospital. Our thought continue to be with everyone affected by the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. So that's by Everton Football Club there.
He spent a season there on loan as well. So there's a universal acclaim for the news, and it's obviously one that's been coming for a very long time. We've been hoping and praying for this, and this is exactly what we want. So the next big thing that has to happen is to be sure that he gets out of hospital safe and sound. As things stand, the Turkish sports minister has announced that all sporting activities in the country will be suspended indefinitely until further notice. He made that announcement yesterday via tweet, and so it's what it is, because there are some things that are much more important than football.
Exactly.
And this is one of them, because the numbers are huge.
People's lives matter.
Exactly. So sports will be suspended. And for the team Hatayespor, who have been most affected by this, they have taken the team to Adana, and they've asked every player to go home and be with their families, at least for now. So in terms of implications for what this is for them, that's what it is. But I think that most importantly for Christian Atsu, I think the next big step for him is once he recovers and he gets out of hospital, I think the next important thing for him would be to try and reunite him with his family. He's got an ex-wife and he's got a kid. He's got family members here who had very sleepless nights yesterday waiting for some positive news. And he eventually arrived in the morning. Like Kofiata said, the joy does really come in the morning. Sure. And it was really great. Actually, is one of the reasons people have been very united in pushing and praying for Christian Atsu is that deep down, beyond, outside of the football pitch, he's an amazing human being. He does a lot of humanitarian works. His most profound humanitarian work has to do with, feeding prisoners and freeing prisoners all the time, and justice for people who were wrongly convicted and what have you, because he absolutely believes that every human being has or deserves a second chance. And his best friend is Wakasu. They're always on each other's necks on social media. So it really is good to see. And we are very happy at this moment.
Hat out to all the people affected by this earthquake. Now, to other stories. I'm grateful, Ventio, for coming through. All right, now as Parliament resumes this morning, the minority in the House have effected some changes to their seating arrangement following that shock removal of Haruna Idrisu as leader. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with details of that. Kweku, grateful. Bring us up to speed with their changes. Hello, Kweku, if you can hear me. Can you
so
give
Grace,
us...
the former minority leader Haruna Idrisu just walked in. You see him there in his kaftan. He walked in not so long ago. His seating arrangement has now been changed. You see that black seat over there. Those are the seats for the leaders of the House. On the right side is for the majority leader. On the other side is for the minority leader. That is no longer the seat of Haruna Idrisu, who just walked in. I'll tell you very shortly where he will be sitting now that Parliament is back from that Christmas break. They went on break 21st of December. They are now back. You see the black seat there. That is now going to be the seat of Dr. Kiselato Forsen, the new minority leader who was appointed to replace Haruna Idrisu. There was some kind of confrontation, some kind of agitations until yesterday when the party was able to put to bed all the rancor within the party. So that black seat now belongs to Kiselato Forsen until the foreseeable future. The seat next to it was the seat for the deputy leader, James Kluche Aveji. That seat will no longer be for him. I'm here to confirm where exactly he will be sitting. Then the seat after that is that of Governor Suame Agboja, who is now the chief whip. Actually, if you because of the lighting situation, you could zoom in now, you could have seen the names which have now been changed. Dr. Kiselato Forsen as new minority leader. So before Parliament went on break, there's this seat where Honorable Samson Ahi is standing with the man in smoke currently. That is where Cletus Avoka, MP for Zebila, he's a former majority leader, and Honorable Collins Dauda used to sit. Those two seats there. These two seats are for the deputy speakers, first deputy speaker, second deputy speaker. But those two seats used to be for Cletus Avoka and Collins Dauda. There has been some changes now, and Cletus Avoka will maintain his seat, but that seat after that will now be for Haruna Idrisu. There were concerns as to whether or not Haruna Idrisu was going to go back the front bench, but some resolution has been made, and he is going to sit right there where Samson Ahi is there. So these are some of the changes that have been made. We are here to confirm where exactly the Honorable Muntaka Mubarak will be sitting, the Honorable James Kluche Aveji when they come in, we'll see exactly where they are seated. But the former minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, will now sit on that chair. He's already there, engaged in some tete-a-tete with some of his colleagues, and they are laughing over some of the issues they are conversing about. But clearly, if you came into Parliament this morning, you would really see that the changes were hanging around. The leadership of the House on the minority side were very much on hand. They were making some changes. They were talking to MPs, because if you're going to change Collins Dauda from his seat, you're going to tell him something. And so Collins Dauda eventually agreed that he is going to go back. So someone has also lost their seat at the back. That is Honorable Wisdom Gidisu. Wisdom Gidisu's seat has now been moved to the other side. So the changes in names just didn't happen. Certain arrangements have also been altered in Parliament. We're expecting that within this week, the big offices that are occupied by the leadership will also be changed. So, Brace, that is about it. We are expecting the Speaker of Parliament to walk in any moment from now. They are currently involved in some pre-sitting meetings before they come. Already we know that the new minority leader, Dr. Kesela Toforsen, is currently in court. He's at the High Court where he's he's on trial for causing financial loss to the state with some guarantee that he is said to have signed. And so he is not in Parliament at the moment. He's in court, and Joseph Akable will give us some update from there later on. But he is now going to occupy the black seat. Some big changes having been made, and when the Speaker of Parliament comes in, governs the House into session, then we'll see the full effect of these changes. So far, we have not been able to hear from Haruna Idrisu, the outgone minority leader. Yesterday, we were able to report that he says he wants to maintain some golden silence on this matter. I've been making some contact to try and see if he'll get something on the record. We haven't been successful yet, but he has lost that black seat, and he is now going to sit with Cletus Avoka in those two front seats there. He is there, Tamale South, and then the deputy speakers will also be there. Bruce.
Interesting. Grateful that you could bring us this. But what about the majority side? Have you seen them in the House? We've seen the minority, but the majority side, we haven't seen anybody or any activity at that particular side. Do you see them in sight?
Yes, so only the majority chief whip, Frank Anadompre, is seated, and he is usually very punctual. He comes to the House very early, so he is seated there, and the rest of the pews are empty. A few of them came in, but they have left, right? So that is about the lowdown here. Honorable Kojo, the Minister for Chieftaincy, the outgone Minister for Chieftaincy, who just resigned, is also seated there. Because of what the camera is positioned, we can't show you that, but he's also seated. I saw a few NPP MPs come in to come and talk to their leader. They also interacted with the outgone minority leader before they left the chamber, because sitting hasn't started. I'm sure some of them will now be at the coffee shop interacting with their colleagues about some of these new issues that have come up in Parliament since these changes were made, especially the minority side changes. This is the first time that the House is returning, so there will be a lot of conversation. But clearly, Haruna Idrisu doesn't look like someone who is bothered. You also see there Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. He's one of the MPs who were up in arms against the decision. Finally, the Council of Elders of the party have been able to bring to bed all these issues. So he's walking towards the outgone minority leader there. Clearly, they are about to have some conversation. So, Brace, it's interesting scenes in the House today. These new changes. It will take some time before those of us who work here will get used to this new arrangement. We are used to seeing Haruna Idrisu in that black seat for the last 6 years. The last 6 years he has been minority leader. He is no longer in that seat. It's going to be the seat for Dr. Kesela Toforsen. Already the name tags have been removed. The name tags have been changed, and Kesela Toforsen's name has been put. I'm also seeing the majority leader, Seche Mensah-Bonsu, walking in. He's having some conversations with the marshal, and so he interacting with some of his colleagues, and the leader, outgone leader, Haruna Idrisu there. We haven't seen Muntaka Mubarak in the House today. We haven't seen James Klucha Veji today. Of course, the new leadership have been here. We've seen Gavin Kwame Agboja. We've seen Emmanuel Amabua, who is now the deputy minority leader. They've all come in to see the new arrangements, to try and make some suitable arrangement. But like I told you, the majority leader there, Seche Mensah-Bonsu, walking in, and if Kese can show you, Seche Mensah-Bonsu, he just walked in with a colleague having some conversation. So far, their sitting arrangements are in sync. They haven't made any changes so far, and he is talking to the chief whip. I'm sure He's also going to head towards the outgone minority leader to have some conversations. They've been good friends. They've been at each other's neck sometimes, but these are times when they have to support each other. A number of NPP MPs also coming into the house just about now.
Grateful, Kweku, for that update. Now to other stories. And imagine being confronted with the challenge of dilapidated school structures and inadequate furniture, forcing you to quickly put up makeshift structures constructed with firewood, straw, and used old roofing sheet for use by the pupils to enable you to have ample time to complete a permanent structure for them. One of the makeshift structures depended on completely gutted by fire, leaving the people stranded and loitering about. That is the situation of Bamahu MA Junior High School in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region, and they are grappling with and are appealing for help. JoyNews' Upper West regional correspondent Rafi Salam report from Wa.
The increasing rate of pupils enrollment, coupled with dilapidated structures which could pass for their traps, has forced management committee of the Bamahu MA Junior High School to go in for these mixed structures. The Bamahu MA Junior High School has a total population of 321 pupils. 2/3 of these pupils are in Junior High School 2 and 3 and are comfortable occupying these two classrooms. Their junior colleagues, unfortunately on their part, has to hold classes under these mixed structures. They have been constructed using firewood, straws, and used jaded roofing sheets. In a class of 74 pupils, which has been equally divided, the fragile ones are at this mixed structure. But even under this structure, it isn't the best. The sun is scorchy and is unseasonable. Apart from the inhumane and unconducive learning environment they have been subjected to, there is also the fear of the mixed structures housing pythons and other dangerous insects. There are uncountable times that pythons fell from the roof of their mixed structures, disrupting curricular activities. Yusuf Abdul Rahim is the headmaster of Bamahu MA Junior High School.
Here we have Form 1A and there we have Form 1B. And in fact, whenever it threatens to rain, it means we just have to close classes. Then sometimes we are in our classes, we are being visited by reptiles. Should I say fortunately or unfortunately on my part, I have been a witness to those occasions. There was an occasion where we were visited by a snake. I was in the midst of the teachers and then we all took to our heels. Just before the end of last term, we were visited by 2 monitor lizards. One came to one of the classes, then the other also visited the other class. And our classes that day were all disrupted.
The Parent Teacher Association, PTA, concerned about the plight of the pupils, mobilized and started the construction of these 2 classrooms, which has gotten to the roof level. The 2-unit classroom project has some support from the Wa Central Member of Parliament, Dr. Rashid Hassan Pelpu.
To be used to do the roofing, there are 15 packets of roofing sheets meant for the roofing of these 2 classrooms. It's important for us because we know that it will enable learning experience to go on as we expect.
However, the woes of the pupils were further worsened hours after the 2-unit classroom block was completely roofed. The mixed structure for Junior High School 1B was gutted by fire, crumbled like sand, and straws turned into ashes.
So at the moment, what we are trying to do is to how we can fix it temporarily for classes to start, so that we looked forward to see how we can solve it permanently. If we look at the school, there are no structures. In fact, the people are more than the structures. All these things you are seeing, there are classes. So we are managing with this. I'm hoping that the assembly will come to our aid.
The 37 pupils lost everything, including their furniture. They have no classroom and only loiter about while their colleagues are seriously studying.
As our class got burnt and then the furnitures are also burnt.
So at the moment, what are you doing?
We are roaming about, fetching water and then fetching sand. Taking them to the new building they built to make classrooms for us.
One municipal chief executive, Isaac Utayr Mumin, who was at the school to assess the situation, expressed shock and promised a temporary fix of the situation.
Just this morning I had information that a makeshift classroom is bent. So we are here to see what is actually the situation on the ground. And true to it, the furniture is gone and the makeshift is also gone. So right now we're going to work out to get them a number of dual decks at least to start learning, whilst we look at a permanent solution for the school.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam.
And back in Accra, individual pension bondholders have resumed day 2 of their picketing at the Ministry of Finance to demand a total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, in his update on the economy last night, re-emphasized government's offer of a 15% coupon rate at a 5-year maturity period to pensioners, but the group has since been rejecting the offer. My colleague James Kwesi Aveji is on the ground for us and joins us live with the latest. Kwesi, what more can you tell us from where you are?
Okay, so Brace, the individual pension bondholders are gathered here at the Ministry of Finance this morning.
Are gathered here at the Ministry of Finance this morning to continue with day 2 of their picketing at the ministry, demanding the total exemption. As you have indicated just now, that yesterday in the minister's broadcast, he indicated that there is no way government is going to grant their exemption, but they are being relentless on their call for a total exemption. And so, as you can see, there are a number of them here with the placard they came here with yesterday, with the same message, total exemption from the government domestic debt exchange program. Let's have a short interaction with a few of them on why they are so relentless on their call. Sir, the minister, when he met you yesterday, indicated that government position right now won't allow them to grant your request. In the evening broadcast, he re-emphasized the deal they have made available for you. Why are you still here today?
I listened very carefully to the minister, and we are asking for total exemptions. You'll hear it later from our convener. But for now, revered senior citizens and our countrymen, today is Tuesday, the 7th of February, 2023. 75 years ago, on the 28th of February, 1948, just about 3 kilometers from here, veterans of the Second World War belonging to the Gold Coast Regiment of the Royal Gold Coast Frontier Force were marching to Christianborg Castle to submit a petition. At the crossroads, they were intercepted, and 3 of them, Sergeant Agete, Corporal Atipo, and Private Odate Lamte, were martyred. They shed their blood for this land. 75 years ago, today, indeed, let me say, from last month, we made petitions to His Excellency and to the Minister. Fortunately, we've not been intercepted with bullets to kill us. However, I want to draw attention that about 4 years ago, during the banking restructuring, several of our people died. They died out of poverty because what they planned is not what came to be. So blood was shed. Now, as we stand here, we represent a section of the whole society. In 1948, it was soldiers. But here, as we stand, farmers, fishermen, soldiers, lawyers, judges, policemen, engineers, doctors, Macaulay women, economists, every group within the sector of the society. We are here, and we are veterans. Why are some of us, even as we speak, because of desperation, fear, having strokes, and some dying? Blood is still being shed. I want us to remind ourselves of what happened 75 years ago and remind ourselves of what is happening now. We are still pleading with His Excellency and now with the Minister of Finance, Ken Oforata, to consider the total exempts. God bless our homeland, Ghana.
So, Brace, that is one of the individual pension bondholders, making a point that 75 years ago, some people died from the battle of the gun, but today they are dying because of their lost investment. Today it's not only about soldiers, but other people from different sectors of the economy. That is their message, for which reason they are calling for a total exemption. Let me do a quick one with Dr. Edu Ananientry. You have had a brief audience with your members earlier before the others came, and we saw you walk into the ministry and back. What have you been discussing with them, and what's the latest?
Well, we were trying to meet the minister and get some information for us to look at, some figures. So that was the decision we were taking at that time.
So who did you meet at the ministry, and what was the conversation?
Well, we haven't met anybody, but at least we met the PR people who are supposed to arrange the meeting for us to meet the minister. So they are working on it.
It is from yesterday and today. It won't be far-fetched to say that it is quite clear that your demands may not be met, because the finance minister came to meet you. He stated the same position, same he stated in the evening's broadcast to the nation, and so it is clear that government may not meet your decision, which means that your modus operandi may not fetch the result you want. Any consideration apart from the picketing?
Well, we believe that if exemption is given to the pensioners, the program will not be derailed unless we are proved. There's a proving record, things to show that if we are exempted, the program will be derailed. We don't believe that. And there's nothing that we have to base to change our belief that this is true. So if somebody just come verbally and say, if you don't come on board, we are not going to succeed. Meanwhile, the thing is voluntary. So you ask yourself, well, the thing is voluntary. So assuming you don't exempt me, because you think that if you exempt me, the program will fail. If you haven't exempted me, and I decide not to come in, will your program be successful? That question should be answered by the minister.
All right, so that is what Dr. Ananientry has also been saying, that they are hopeful that the ministry would listen to their plight and exempt them totally from the domestic debt exchange program. And so, Brace, that's why they are here today to observe day 2 of the 1 hour every day picketing at the Ministry of Finance.
All right, thank you, James Kwesi Aveji. Is our man there at the Ministry of Finance, where the Pensioners Bondholder Forum are picketing to demand their total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program, which ends today. Now, I will take a quick break. We'll return with business. Stay with us.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The International Cocoa Initiative, ICI, has started implementing a remediation system to curtail child and forced labor in cocoa-producing communities in Ghana. Deputy Country Director Prince James says the system has an inherent goal of helping to improve the income of farmers. The ICI has collaborated with the Ghana Agriculture and Rural Development Journalists Association to build the capacity of journalists in reporting on child and forced labor. Anita Sewa-Ajugan has more in this report.
International Labour Organization estimates that out of 24.9 million people who are in forced labour, 4.3 million are children. The United Nations Children's Fund, through its principles and guidelines for media reporting on children, expects journalists to protect children in reporting on child and forced labour. In line with this, the International Cocoa Initiative has trained 35 agriculture and rural development journalists from 4 cocoa-producing regions in child and forced labor. The training is to deepen journalists' understanding and also improve their skills for writing ethical reports on child and forced labor. Prince Jimfi is Deputy Country Director of the International Cocoa Initiative.
We expect the media to use their platform to create more awareness on the issue of child labor, and also to distinguish between what a child can do and what a child cannot do, which I called the acceptable and unacceptable work for children. So since the media has that kind of platform and it's a wider platform, it could help a lot if they intensify the campaign and awareness raising on the need for parents, the need for everyone to be involved in the fight against child labor.
Prince Jimfi spoke about the ICI's remediation system to curtail child and forced labor in cocoa-producing communities in Ghana.
What is currently ongoing is the support to farmers in terms of improving on their income activity, which include the farmers, helping farmers to do village savings and loan association, also helping farmers also to diversify their incomes, such as having other additional livelihood also as well.
President of the Ghana Agriculture and Rural Development Journalists Association, Richmond Frimpong, emphasized the need to empower journalists to report adequately on child and forced labor.
At the end of the day, we expect the journalists from around that community to be able to champion and communicate well to the people over there and how the understanding are on child labor issues in the country. I think child labor issues have become a major concern within the cocoa-growing communities. And we thought it wise to let the whole country appreciate what child labor means.
The 4-day workshop was organized under the auspices of the NORAD-funded Tackling Child and Forced Labor in Ghanaian Cocoa and Gold Mining and implemented by ICI and its partners, Rainforest Alliance and Solidaridad West Africa. For JoyNews, Anita Sewa-Ajugan reporting.
Now, traders in the Suame municipality of the Ashanti region are protesting alleged plans to demolish their market space. The agitated traders claim the local assembly has served notice to demolish the market without an alternative space to accommodate them. They describe the move as unfair after paying 30,000 cedis to occupy shops in the market. Here's more.
The traders argue after years of plying their wares in other space, the demolition of the market will bring unbearable economic hardship. The resentful traders want the assembly to value their shops for compensation before any demolition and relocation.
Stores no almost in the contractor by 4 and we see sa adana esi echire ha no contractors no obia won na pata obia won le lace na wo ho no obia ye contractor obia won contractor a wo see ye contractors for no be see dan no ye buy na ye beto stores no ka kire say store no to a forever it is store na what osisi no wo ye nkuma ba ko bia 30,000 Ghana cedis
mo amu nkosiesie beebi amaye eno ani se mutu ye na ye akọ no wan na ye akọ akwaji yesika ye kwaji na wan ho ye kema ni maji yesika de onu si pata no kwa ye hu no de pene se yesra wo mfa yesika maye se de obesi ni ha no se 900 million minfie komanim minfimi ansan kwaji lo biem etime sremo monka bi maye no mfa yesika maye wo mu dan na wo mu disika ne maye ne etina ye beyi ye ne ma afrim no ma buo mu sisi amusi mutu ye na hefa na mode ye ko ye be yo musi mo baye mutu ye mutu ye so mu ne ba bi amode ye ko aka me hu ye mutu ye mu se bi ha na mo nkwakwatena na mo nya adwuma mfa nhwe mo ma anu se mutu ye just like that it is mutu ye just like that yeah and you no go anywhere ye ko ba bia I will stay there if you tell me say
Dominic Eduberma of construction firm JN Enterprise has confirmed selling the shops to the traders at a cost of 30,000 Ghana cedis each between the year 2013 and 2014. He says this was based on an agreement reached with the local assembly. According to him, the Suame Municipal Assembly can only demolish the property if the traders are properly relocated or compensated, else they will back the traders to sue the assembly.
Na yanso ya tayachiri in mejapade na wo se obese no enti ono ondes na wo so omde omo ekokot me na ma ya dansini esanse maton ma omo awie.
The assembly is yet to respond to the current concerns of the traders. The municipal chief executive, Maxwell Ufusubwache, has however indicated the assembly's plans to construct a modern market with the necessary facilities such as a police station and fire service department. Mona Lisa Frimpon reporting.
And that's it for this segment. The news returns after this break.
Welcome back. So, this has been our bulletin for you where we've brought you details on what's happening with regards to the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, saying that they are still going to picket at the Ministry of Finance until they are given the exemption that they require. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Do enjoy the rest of your morning. Have a great day.